Just think it couldn't get any worse. Oh man,
I could I could imagine
such a dick move.
Yeah, I could imagine this guy just like talking to a friend. He's like, "Yeah, man, I had a dream of a little girl beating me up, and then the other night I had another dream of a car running me over. Thank goodness it wasn't at the same time."
Hello, welcome to episode 20 of Let's Dream Podcast. This is your host, Lee, and we always have...
Casey Lucid. How's it going, everyone?
We are back again with our big 20 episode of Dream Stories. We hope you've been loving them. We sure do. As always, these are stories we've gathered from our viewers, listeners, and people we've interacted with on forums, and they've been enjoying telling us these stories, right?
Oh, yeah. Thank you all the listeners that share your stories with us, because we have gotten some positive feedback from the listeners. Part of the reason we started the podcast is because there wasn't really a podcast that we know of that just went over dream stories. And it's kind of personal. Sharing dream stories is kind of like a personal thing, but people like ourselves like to hear them. And obviously there's others out there that like to hear them. So, feel free to drop us a line or share what you hear. Share the podcast with some of your friends, see what they think.
Excellent. All right, so let's get into the stories. All right, the first story is from a user named Up Till Dawn 98. Well, I was at the park. Everything was just dandy. Weather was sunny, and then it happened. I was surrounded with random park visitors. I felt fear and adoration in the same time when I saw it in the skies. No, I didn't wake up after it. Once the blast wave came to me, I immediately heard an angelic scream and was protected in a bubble-like sphere. Outside, everything was ruined to the ground, gray, dust, smoke, and fire. And then I woke up.
I really like how this dreamer described it, because it was basically just like an explosion of some sort that destroyed everything.
Yeah, I don't know what it specifically was, but it was grand and awesome and terrifying all at once.
Yeah, that's really cool. It really emphasizes the visceral aspect of dreams, like how just like things just kind of like happen sometimes.
And how instantaneous things can happen too.
Yeah, sometimes I think about how when we're dreaming, we have that obviously we just like dropped into a dream out of nowhere, like all of a sudden we're dreaming, but your brain somehow has like the backstory. Like, have you ever had that? You look at something, let's say it's just like a weird object, and you're like, oh yeah, that's the thing that does this thing. That's the discombobulator that does this thing. But it's like your first time seeing it, but your brain already plugged in the memory somehow.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it's happened. I just can't specifically give you an example. But yeah, your brain, everything in your head, as weird as that may sound.
That's like that's very simply profound. I like that. That reminded me of something that you would see like a wise, like a Jedi master. It's like, hey, you already know everything in your head, man. That's cool. Let's see. So the next dream we have for someone that wanted to maintain their anonymity, and the dream goes, I was walking through a maze and had my 2 kids with me. The maze itself was made out of concrete and was too tall to scale for an escape. After a long time wandering, we run into a Cerberus. I tell my kids to stay back as I try to distract it. It charges at me and we start fighting. It was about the size of a grown human. Somehow, we eventually end up free-falling in the air, and one of the heads of the Cerberus had bitten off a large piece of concrete. While in midair, it was trying to slam the concrete on me, but as it was doing that, I pulled out a Bowie knife out of my pocket and stabbed it in the heart. Right as I did this, it smashed the concrete on me, and that's when I woke up. Yeah.
I like how the Cerberus is like kind of scaled down. Most of the time we see Cerberus as like this kind of large monstrosity size creature.
Yeah, but still though, if it's the size of a human, can you imagine seeing a dog that's like...
that's still huge.
Yeah, like a shoulder size...
Some dogs do get like that.
What was it? Great Danes? Do Great Danes get like that?
Great Danes, yeah. Yeah, some of them do.
Yeah, because I've seen pictures where it's like a dog is like basically a horse. It's like a dog that's like a horse.
Yes.
That's scary.
That's still scary.
Yeah. But yeah, I like that. Nice dream.
Yeah. All right, so we have another user that wants to stay anonymous. So I had this dream months ago. I was outside in the basketball court. I was minding my business while practicing some shots. Then these black figures with glowing yellow eyes just started floating onto the court. They were wearing Victorian clothes, and then the sky started to turn red. Thank God that at this point I woke up.
Yeah.
This guy got spooked.
Yeah, really.
Trying to play some ball.
You know what I thought of when I heard that one is, have you seen that episode of Chappelle's Show with Prince, where Prince starts playing basketball?
And I feel like I have. I just can't remember.
Oh, it's really funny. If you haven't seen it, just go back and watch it, because it's like Dave Chappelle meets up with Prince, and then Prince is just like wearing like that Victorian style clothing that he has. Was it purple? Yeah, the purple, and it had with like the frill. Yeah, with all the ruffles or whatever. Like he didn't even change into like sweatpants or nothing. He starts schooling everyone on the court in his. So I was just like, hey, maybe these Victorian figures were just really good at basketball. Or they're Prince. Yeah. But that's cool. Like, I'm glad they shared that with us. But I think he was also scared that the sky turned red at the same time. I think that... Yeah, at any point, that's not a good sign. Yeah, for sure. But okay, let's see. So the next dream that we have is from TK2310. I was standing on the grass while my parents and two brothers were sitting on a picnic table. I was holding a magic book that had powder in it that could turn one person into a frog. They were all arguing about why I should be turning another person into a frog. I chose to simply throw the magic powder in the general direction and see who it would hit. But the wind was blowing back in my direction, so the powder flew to me and it hit me instead. As I sat there in the grass as a frog, they all laughed as if it was just another silly thing that happened during that summer vacation. Okay. It's silly. It's so slapsticky. I love it. Yeah. So far, the dreams have been very kind of contrasting, you know? It's like you have... Like the themes? Yeah, like very contrasting, or very, like, varied. Different types. I like that. Yeah. Cool. Thank you, TK2310, for sharing that with us. Did the magic not do anything, though? Yeah, I guess as a frog. Yeah. Just turn him into a frog. That's cool. All right. So the next story is also from Anonymous. So I had two reoccurring nightmares when I was a child: the moon car and the little girl. I'll tell you a little about each first. The little girl was about 4 feet tall. She had a big face, limp back, dark straight hair, and a little with some fringes that fell down on either side of her face. She had a small mouth, but her eyes covered 80% of her face. Ooh. They were large ovals and they were pitch black. She'd never talk. She'd stalk me through my dreams and I'd feel her presence nearby. She'd appear in a flash and then her eyes would flash bright white twice, and that would freeze me in whatever motion I was in. She'd punch me around and then disappear. The freeze would wear off and I'd run away, but then she'd appear again, flash her eyes, freeze me, and then punch me around again. And that was pretty much the reoccurring dream for that one. Then we also have the moon car. There was this strange car, like an Impala, but bright silver white. I lived in a cul-de-sac neighborhood, and it had a mini roundabout with large tree growing in it. In my dream, the tree was either full grown or dead, full with leaves, or none at all. I would either hear the wind whistle or the leaves rustle, and from way down the beginning of the street, I would hear the car honk continually pressed down. And the car would drive down the street at the speed of light and crash into me, sending me flying from one area to the next. Each time the car would speed away and then again honk and then come crashing down, just wreaking havoc, smashing into me and then everything else. And bright, blinding lights as well. Now there was this one dream where two of these teamed up. It just took turns. And the girl would freeze me and then the car would drive up and then hit me and send me flying. It was on a full moon night, and both would just tag team and beat me up back and forth. That was pretty much it, but it was awful. Whatever they were, I hope they rot in hell. Lol. This dude had it rough. Holy moly. You know, that's... oh, man. I like the juxtaposition, you know, how in a nightmare, usually, like, you think of, like, something that's haunting you. It's usually, like, a monster, like a dark figure, like some kind of ominous presence. But in this dream, it was, like, a little girl in a car. So, like... I mean, did you see the description of that little girl? It was freaky. Yeah, no. To give the guy credit, you know, this person credit. Yeah, no, I mean, like, if I saw, like, if a little girl with big eyes like that just walked in my room right now, I would definitely be shitting my pants. That sounds really terrifying.
And what about that juxtaposition with the car?
Yeah, I like that they teamed up, though. Like, I like that they had separate dreams of each of these characters, and then at some point, their mind made them, like, connect.
Just think it couldn't get any worse. Oh, man.
I could I could imagine.
Such a dick move.
Yeah, I could imagine this guy just like talking to a friend. He's like, "Yeah, man, I had a dream of a little girl beating me up, and then the other night I had another dream of a car running me over. Thank goodness it wasn't at the same time."
Oh, that's rough, dude.
Yeah. Anyway,
I like that they both have like the similar kind of motif where they basically blitzkrieg these guys in different ways. This person.
Yeah, similar feel.
Yeah. I hope you found out whatever's bothering you, and hopefully they're gone now. And thank you for sharing.
Oh, man. Let's see. Okay, so the next dream is from somebody called _Kickster, or the Kickster. My sister used to have a recurring dream when she was around 6 years old. A black skeleton with a book, a torch, and a tiara would walk into her room, stand in the corner, and imitate the Statue of Liberty. One night, instead of doing the usual, it walked up to her and said, "Hey, you're not afraid of the dark," took off her nose, and examined it before putting it back on. She then never had that dream again.
All right.
Okay. That's
For 6-year-old, huh?
Yeah. I mean, imaginative, but I wonder if this is kind of like a recurring thing, because I've had at least 4 or 5 other people tell me about dreams where they would see like a skeleton just standing somewhere in their room. I remember one example was when we did, I think it was the Halloween episode or one of the Scary Dreams episodes, where one person had like a skeleton that would stand in their doorway. But then there was another one where there was like a skeleton like figure that would stand in their room. I wonder if that's like a recurring thing a lot of people experience.
Maybe, but I think skeletons are kind of a universal symbol for death, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like every culture has like I don't know, I'm not saying this kid experienced death, but it's signaling something like spooky or fearful, right?
Yeah.
Typically, right?
Yeah.
But it's weird for a 6-year-old, like, you know when adults do that little magic where they're like, "Oh, I got your nose," but it's actually their thumb. Yeah. That's what happened with this skeleton, pretending to be the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah. I wonder what that means. Yeah.
But this person said they never dreamt about it again, but they remember it pretty vividly, right? And I assume like this kind of years passed.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because they were 6 when they were. And I remember I did a sketch of this, and I sent it to the guy, and he said that their sister, who was now in college, replied to it.
Okay.
So yeah, like this is like from a long time ago. See, that's really kind of interesting how sometimes people remember dreams that they had years ago. Like it'll be like decades, and people will still remember the dream. Do you have anything like that?
Certainly. That Michael Jackson one, I had that one back in like high school, and that was so silly.
Nice, yeah.
But I really like that dream. But yeah, isn't it interesting just how like some weird things just stick with you for, I don't know, through up till college from when you're 6 years old. Did she say anything about it that you're drawing?
She thought it was funny and somewhat accurate. So yeah,
awesome.
She liked it, and of course that'll be up on the blog for anyone that wants to see it, or the social media, nice. Instagram.
All right. So the next story is also kept anonymous. So I was like 10 years old, and it was a Halloween night. It starts where I woke up from a good dream about cars, and I went downstairs and everything was on, but no one was there. Then I heard a crash, crunch, scream, and liquidy sounds outside. I go out and tried not to scream when I saw a giant spider the size of a bus eating my neighbor's daughter and pulling the dad out of their Porsche. So I went inside to get some of my tactical army gear, which no one in my family has. And it was all black, and I had IR goggles, infrared goggles on the helmet, and it said U.S. Army on the sleeve and Ghost Ops on the other. It was used by my dad, who went and did missions that required being invisible in the night. I grabbed a full auto AR-15 with an 414 grenade launcher underneath it. I also grabbed a semi-auto Smith & Wesson 1911 with a little infrared red dot sight combo sight. Lastly, I grabbed a demolitions bag with flashbangs and frags in them. So I go outside and put the infrared goggles on, just as an F-22 Raptor guns down the spider, but then the F-22 gets stepped on by a 20 stories tall spider. Then there's a beautiful flash of light and a small mushroom cloud in the far distance. There went Houston, so I gunned down a human-sized spider and landed a frag in the bus-sized spider's mouth. I say good night, and it dropped dead. I knew my family had been taken and not killed because of the muddy boot prints in the house. Makes sense. So flash forward, I'm in the car, like the aerial Atom, but off-road and armored. I find a convoy, and guess who's in the middle of the car? My family and Chris Kyle, portrayed by Bradley Cooper. And I shut off my lights and throw a C4 on the escorts and light them up. All while Chris Kyle used the moments of confusion to start fighting the guards inside the transport. Flash forward some more, and we were in the city. F-16s, F-22s, Russian MiGs were duking it out with giant spiders and giant flying ants. It's getting bright out, and we were in the transport. We stop all of a sudden. I look out the window, and they're in the middle of the streets were soldiers and spiders. Between the soldiers and the spiders is my dog Rusty. He's the one real thing in this story. We pick up and start going until I see a stealth jet in the sky. They were going to nuke the city. Chinooks were taking off. Jets leaving, and so were we, plowing through every human-sized spider in the way, and we get to the camp. And that's where it ends. Yep. I'm 10 when this has happened, and now I'm 16, the dreamer commentate. Wow.
Oh yeah, that's a lot. That is a lot for a 10-year-old.
Oh, Michael Bay movie. How does a 10-year-old know all these little names of these guns? Games?
Hey man, have you seen 10-year-old? Yeah. It's like, although they're 16 now, so that was like 6 years ago. I don't know that games are that good, but I mean, you had like Counter-Strike, things like that.
Oh, it's been a while. Call of Duty was out 10 years ago.
Oh god, I feel so old.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, we can't say like Counter-Strike is old. Like Call of Duty's old now.
Dang. Yeah, I mean,
that was intense.
But yeah, cool dream though. Jeez. Giant spiders. That's a very common one.
Giant spiders.
Giant spiders.
Yeah, giant spiders are always scary.
Spider nightmares.
If you were 10 years old and you dreamt that you got your dad's kit, were you like 10 years old, like a little boy in like adult clothing?
Like your dad's. Yeah.
That's what I'm curious
with adult
about.
weapons. But I really like, what was it? Let me see. At some point in the dream, he said he throws a frag at the bus-sized spider and then says good night, like in
like an action movie,
like an 80s action movie. That's awesome.
An Arnold Schwarzenegger moment.
Yes, I love that.
Hasta la vista.
Cool.
No, that's awesome. Like I'd be doing the same thing if I'm 10 years old and like in an action movie, saying all these corny things. It's awesome.
All right. So that was a good dream. So the next one is from Jock95. So I was in the gym and had a hard time doing squats when I look over and saw Darth Vader on the other side looking very annoyed while he was trying to do squats because this woman was flirting with him. He had no interest in the woman and was more focused on trying to adjust his squat rack. He had so much difficulty adjusting his squat rack, and then he gave up and came over to me. He saw me struggling too with my reps, that he empathized with me and decided to hang out. We then end up in a car with Hitler, apparently one of Vader's friends. Vader was driving, Hitler was in the back, and I was riding shotgun. We parked near a cul-de-sac, and Vader got out of the car. He said to Hitler, "Wait here in the car, and I'm going to have dinner." Actually, hold on, I'm going to try to do the sound. He said to Hitler,
"Wait here in the car, and I'm going to have dinner."
He then pointed at me and said,
"You run off and have yours too. Meet me back in the car when you're finished."
And then he entered a nearby house. So off I go to head back to my house, which was nearby, and I see Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote. Roadrunner felt sorry for Coyote always failing to catch him and decided to buy 4 chickens and veggies. I had to cook the food for the coyote, but he was angry because he didn't feel the pleasure and victory of catching the roadrunner, so he refused to eat the chicken. I had the food instead and decided to head back to Vader's car. I came back, and Vader had flipped over the car upside down because he was annoyed by Hitler. Vader then told me to wait inside the upside down car, and then I woke up.
That's hilarious.
That's great.
I just love the image of like Darth Vader and this woman trying to flirt with him. And he's like, "Go away." he's just in the gym trying to adjust his squat rack.
And he's friends with Hitler.
That's hilarious.
Naturally.
Oh my god. I don't know.
Yeah, that's actually, I really like this dream. So I'm making a storyboard of this one after I finish the one that I'm currently working on, and that'll be up on the blog for people to see. I really like this dream.
I like how it's super random, but not at the same time. Like there's like a continuity in the storyline, I guess. Like they did this, and then they went here, and then they met up with these guys, and then came back, and of course, Hitler's being annoying, so Vader had to like put him in his place.
You know, I wonder what they were arguing about that it made Vader flip the car. I wonder if Hitler was trying to sell him on the whole anti-Semitism thing, and then Vader was just like, "It's not. I don't care about race. This is particular to the light and the dark side," and then just flips it over. Stupid Hitler. Oh man.
I think we should preface that we're not racist anyway, but this is just part of the story, and there was no hate involved, thankfully. But it can happen in dreams. But as hosts of the podcast, we would like to share our views on this, and just make it clear that we're not laughing at like anti-Semitism or making fun of racism or anything like that. Yeah,
I mean it's just a funny, interesting dream. I wonder if in the dreamer's mind, if he paired Hitler with Vader, because obviously like one of them is like a real life villain and the other one's a fictional villain. Some similarities, there between the two, all with killing a lot of people and whatnot. But yeah, I like the fact that it was so. It almost reminds me of like a Family Guy episode, how it kind of jumps around.
Yeah, I wonder if like when he saw Roadrunner and Coyote and Wile E. Coyote, were they in like cartoon form or were they like realistic form?
Like a real coyote and a real Roadrunner?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I should follow up with them.
I imagine it might be mixed, like Jessica, or what's it called? That movie called Jessica Rabbit.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah. Oh, in Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
In Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Yeah. I feel like it might be like that.
Maybe, yeah. I like the fact that Wile E. Coyote didn't want to eat it because he was like, "No, I want to eat the Roadrunner. Like, I want to catch him." That's funny.
And it makes sense.
Yeah, no.
And I feel like it also makes sense, like Vader being annoyed at Hitler. It just seems really obvious.
Thank you, Jock95, for sharing that with us. It was really enjoyable. Okay, so I think that about wraps up the dream stories that we have for this episode. Thank you, all the listeners that sent these to us. And if you liked the episodes or the dreams that you just heard, and you think you have a friend or someone else that might also enjoy them, feel free to share it with them. Let us know what they think. And if you want to share some dream stories with us, you can always do that at contact@letsdreampodcast.com or the social media, Instagram, Facebook, Let's Dream Podcast is the handle.
And all those will be in the description, so you just click on it and have a look.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Awesome.